So, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on our weekly AJ Zoom. My name is Tanil Murray. I'm the Community Engagement Director at AJ, and it's really such a pleasure to see everyone here online on Zoom tonight, on our Facebook Live, and to those who are watching our YouTube recording or listening in on J-Air. We are honored tonight to be joined by Dr. Dror Eydar, a columnist, the former Israeli ambassador to Italy and San Marino, op-editor for Israel HaYom, and the former advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Tonight, Dr. Eydar will speak on an important topic, very timely, Europe and the Jews. Across Europe, Jewish communities face rising anti-Semitism, political hostility towards Israel, and growing challenges to their safety, identity, and future. At the same time, Europe remains a decisive force in shaping international policy towards Israel and the Jewish people. Dr. Dror will draw on his distinguished diplomatic, political, and journalistic experience and offer unique insights into these dynamic questions and what lies ahead for the Jewish people in Europe. I'd like to give a special thank you to our friend, a very close friend of AJA, Greg Rosshandler, for facilitating our speaker tonight and this Zoom talk tonight. Would you please welcome Dr. Dror Eydar?
So hello, everybody. Shalom. Nice to be with you guys. Very far away from us, but very close in our hearts. And hope to come and visit you personally. I mean, physically. So actually, right now, I'm in Europe. During the last 2 years of the war, I've been visiting here many times, advocating for Israel, but also taking care of my fellow friends and the Jewish communities all over. And only 2 days ago, I gave the same thing, a Zoom lecture, to the Israel-Italian associations all over Italy, and they are very concerned. They are being attacked. Just today, I was given a news about the Israeli lecturers in one of the northern cities of Italy that was attacked and also was beaten. Lecturers in university. We are not speaking about mob and the streets. So what's going on? Well, I will take this short time that I was given not to speak about the thing that you might know and maybe also draw from reading news, although I suggest all of you not to believe to any news that you read, even from a real source, but to try to cross it with other news, or to read the news in its first position, maybe in Telegram or others. So be careful, because one of the aspects of this war is in the media, in the social, with the disinformation, and more than that. Okay, you know that Israel is also leading in cyber security and all this. So I can just tell you that there are hundreds of thousands of bots from many not friendly countries that spread disinformation and lies and attack in any realm that you might think about it. So in my writings and research during the years, I dealt also with what's called psychohistory. So I try to analyze history with the psychological tools. And Europe, as the base of the Western civilization, of the Judeo-Christian civilization, has a problem with the Jewish state, with independent Jewish state. We might admit it. For many, many years, the Jews dwelled in Europe, contributed to its philosophy, economy, religions, beliefs, moral, politics, constitutions, and so on. It didn't help us when we needed the thanks or the help of the nations. I remember that once I gave a speech or a lecture in the Italian Senate, and there was a senator there that he was pro-Iranian, and he told me, "Ambasciatore, it's your second time you come here and you avoid my question." I said, "What did you ask?" He said, "Does Israel have an atomic bomb?" So I told him, "Senator, do you know all the secrets of your country?" He didn't answer. I said, "With all due respect, you don't know. But I am an ambassador. I don't know anything, everything about my country. But I will not avoid your question. But I will answer you as a Jew, not as a diplomat, not as an ambassador. As a Jew, I want to believe that Israel has such a weapon, because 80 years ago, we begged, not from you Italian, but we begged from world community only to bomb the railway from Hungary to Auschwitz. Only this, to stop these convoys, these trains, death trains. And no one listened to us. One of the train was the great grandmother of my children. She was sent from the border of Hungary to Auschwitz. Thanks God, she survived and managed to make Aliyah and to have family and see not only children, but grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She saw my son. But I told this senator, we learned the lesson. We are a very ancient nation. We learned this lesson that in no any other time in history should we rely on others about our existence. So, but Israel is a democracy, is a rational country, and knows how to manage its resources, also its weapons. So it comes to be that a Jewish state is not something regular, because for the last 2,000 years, the icon, the huge icon or the decisive icon that the European saw in the streets all over was, in fact, a crucified Jew. This is Jesus. So the role, if we speak in psycho-historian terms, the role that we were meant to fulfill during history was to be on the cross means to be victims, because it was kind of a proof that the Jews are being punished, and there are other beliefs that are more right than them, etc., etc. So after 1800 years, plus minus, when the Jews wanted to go back, to return to their homeland and establish their third kingdom, or our state, independent state, it put a problem in front of thinkers, because the meaning of the state of Israel is, metaphorically, is that Jesus went off the cross, put again the talit on his shoulders, and returned back to his homeland, became again a Israeli, a Jewish, a Jew in his land in Galilee. But in this time, he holds a weapon and say, I will not let you to crucify me again. This is the deepest meaning of the state of Israel. We changed this equation that held us in that situation for many, many years. The difference between any pogrom in history, and not only the Holocaust, and the last pogrom of October 7 was the second day. In the second day of any pogroms, what could the Jews do? To hide or to escape. But at the second day of this massacre, October 8, or plus minus 3 weeks later, we arose from the ashes of the kibbutzim and fought back. This is what we are doing. We have a sacred mission to eliminate an absolute evil that wanted to genocide us. If they could continue, they would massacre all the Jews in the land of Israel. And for one day, only for one day, all the Jews, especially in Israel, felt, maybe we forgot, but we felt what is to be a Jew without an independent state. I have a friend, he's a poet. He wrote a poem of 4 sentences, 4 rows. People like to quote it in special events. And if I can translate it, is we have in Israel 2 memorial days. One, memorial days of the Holocaust, and the memorial days for the soldiers of Israel. Between these 2 memorial days, we have only 1 week. So it's like a connection. It's not. It is a connection between the Holocaust and the memorial days, and then Independence Day. So he said we have 2 memorial days every year in 1 week for the general account. How is to live? How is to be with an independent state, with a Jewish state, and how is to be without? So the price, we can compare the difference. So what's happening in Europe about war? In the beginning, when, let's say, the October 7th and 2 weeks later, we received the compassion of the world and also from our friends here in Europe, even from the governments that, let's say, do not like us. Because for 1 day or for 1 week, we played the role that they gave us. We were victims. But the situation now is that Israel is fighting almost 2 years to eliminate, to eradicate this absolute evil, not only in Gaza, but also in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iran, in Yemen, and other places, Iraq. And Europe in general does not like it. We have lots of good people here that help us, that understand, but Europe is not with us, general speaking. And as a historian, I might say that it's amazing that historical events repeating themselves. And in the 30s, there was Churchill that warned European leaders to from Hitler, from Nazi Germany, and no one, let's say, accepted his words. And more than that, European countries sacrificed, Czechoslovakia sacrificed also Austria in the beginning, and more, in order to appease the Nazi monsters. It didn't help. Eventually, the monster swallowed all these countries that hoped to escape from that fate. Now, and we are not we do not speak about the Jews in the 30s, because the Jews were only the appetizer in the beginning. We're speaking about themselves. Now, they have a huge problem. Since the 60s, they wanted cheap work. They imported lots of Muslims from many countries. In the beginning, some of the Muslims integrated in European society, but since the 90s, entered the continent, the old continent, tens of millions of Muslims that do not want to integrate in the European society. In fact, in many European countries, there are legal organizations that were established by the Muslim Brotherhood. This organization is banned, is prohibited in most of the Arab countries, because they understand what the goal is, but not in European countries. And in fact, I just want to share with you a religious verdict, let's say a fatwa sentence, that was written by their spiritual leader. His name was Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi. He passed away 3 years ago. 2003, 22 years ago, he was asked by Muslims in Europe what to do, how to behave in the society, and he wanted to encourage them. So he said in his answer, religious answer, it was like a order what to do. He said that there are lots of signs that the redemption is close. Redemption means the victory of Islam, all the other religions and country, and becomes the world religion. And then he said this: we have a prophecy, let's say, or promise, not prophecy, promise, that when Islam will conquer two major cities, this will be the end of days. One, said the Sheikh Kardawi, was conquered already in 1453 by Muhammad ibn Murad, the Ottoman Sultan. He conquered Constantinople, that was established by Emperor Constantine in the 4th century AC. And after 1,000 years of the Byzantine Empire, it was conquered and Islamized by the Ottoman Empire. Now it's called Istanbul. You know the Hagia Sophia, the huge church that was changed to a mosque, symbolically. So, and he said, now what remains is the other city to conquer in order to take control of the world. And the name of the city is Rumia, means Rome. Rome is the capital of the Western Christianity. Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Christianity. So we have to conquer Rome. Rome also symbolically means Paris, New York, Washington, Brussels, I don't know, maybe Melbourne. It means Western civilization. And he said that we hope that after 2 times when Islam was defeated by the gate of Europe, this time, the 3rd time, we will defeat others, we will win and conquer and take control of this continent and civilization. What were the 2 times it was defeated? 732, when the Islam came from across the Pyrenean Mountains from Spain, and it was stopped by Carmartel in France, what was then a place of France, and in 1683, the gate of Vienna. This is not the protocol of the elders of Zion. They scream it in every place. You only have to search for it and to hear their sermons. And you see it also in the streets when they conquer the whole public space with peaceful prayers, which are not peaceful, but this is the way that they can spread their way of the worldview and maybe the religion to convert others. The consequences of these huge problems, first, you can see it in the streets of Paris, of London, of Brussels, of the Scandinavians and other, even in maybe in Torino, in Italy, in other. The consequences are these riots, that what we see is that the leaders, the European leaders, are being frightened from this phenomenon. They don't know how to to deal with it. What they are doing is trying to do what their predecessors did in the 30s, means to appease the monster, to appease them. How to appease them? First of all, to let them kind of autonomy in Europe. Then to throw to them something to eat, which is the Jews or the state of Israel. We saw it also with the declarations of some leaders like Macron in France, like Sanchez in Spain, that demonstrated that the spirit of the Spanish Inquisition is still alive, and other leaders also in London and other places. And last Shabbat, in the vote at the UN Assembly, New York, for the establishment or support the establishment of a Palestinian state. Just want to explain you what means a Palestinian state, especially after October 7th. Gaza, the Strip of Gaza, is on the level of the sea level. Since we left Gaza, it became de facto independent Palestinian state, independent state. And we received from that entity 20 years of wars and hundreds of thousands of missiles and rockets, and two generations of children that couldn't sleep well in the south, but with lots of post-trauma and other. And of course, the massacre. What they did in this day, just to mention it, because they did it with pride, because they took videos in their GoPro cameras. They beheaded our sons. They raped our daughters until their hip was broken, and then shot them in the heads. They put together fathers and sons, so mother and sons, and they tied them and burned them alive. They raped women in front of their children. They destroyed communities. In these communities, the kibbutzim, were Jews that dedicated their lives to improve the life of the Gazans. And these Gazans knew who were these victims, and they killed them. Of course, they took hostages, 250 elders, Holocaust survivors, babies. They killed babies in the prison. They choked them to death. And they were proud in it. 2 weeks ago, we succeeded to kill one of the terrorists that he was famous by this record. He recorded his messages to his parents in Gaza. He said, "Mommy, Papa, I managed to kill with my hand 10 Jews. I call you with the telephone of one of these Jews that I killed, and they blessed him." So this is what we received from Gaza on the sea level. Palestinian state, what they want, the thing to establish is, from my balcony in Rehovot, near Weizmann Institute, we are in the sea level. Our sea level is, we are in a height of 50 meters above the sea level. I can see from afar the mountains of Benjamin. 35 kilometers direct from me is the city of Ramallah, the capital of the Palestinian Authority. The height is 900 meters above the sea level. Now, can you, and all these, what they want to establish a Palestinian state is on the mountains, at the height of 800, 900 meters, 1,000 meters above the sea level, while the huge population centers of Israel is in front of them, but on the valley, at the level of 50 meters, 100 meters. Now, can you imagine that we can let this barbarian, after October 7, to establish not Gaza on sea level, Gaza on the mountain? We call it Gaza on steroids, which will immediately threaten our existence, very existence. What we received from Gaza will double itself, or more than that, in this so-called Palestinian state on the mountains. We cannot let it be, because October 7 sealed this question for us. There is a consensus in Israel. We should not let this barbarian, an independent entity, because the minute history proved it. How many proofs we need? We don't need any proof more than what we received until now. The minute we leave a place, it becomes a nest of terrorists. Nothing. They are not, Hamas is not interested, and there is no difference between Hamas and Palestinian Authority, because any poll that they do, any survey, there is 80% support of Hamas in the Palestinian Authority. Hamas never ever was interested in the welfare of his residents, of his people. He used them as human shields. I used to tell my fellows in Europe, you donated billions of dollars to the Palestinians. Don't you want to check what did they do with your money? It was before the October 7th, before we knew that they took, first they stole many millions of billions of dollars to their pockets, because we know that the leading families of Gaza worth between $2 billion to $5 billion. And I never heard that they develop any treatment for cancer for example, to earn this money. They stole it. But the rest of the money was used to build the hugest fortress, terrorist fortress in history, with tunnels long tunnels that were so long than the subway in New York, or I don't know, the metro in other places. And the whole Strait of Gaza was meant only for one purpose, that they wrote it in their Hamas charter in 1988. They only fulfilled it. In fact, two principles. One, full dedication for the destruction of the Jewish state. And second, full dedication to kill any Jews wherever he or she are. As an historian, I can tell you that I know only another book that is similar to it, and it was written 100 years ago in German. As ambassador, I insisted to translate this charter, Hamas charter, into Italian, because I wanted them to understand who we deal with, who we dealt with. It was before the massacre. So what happens now in Europe is a repeating of the drama that occurred 100 years ago. Unfortunately, many of the leaders there are blind. They do not see the risk in their yard, and they think, as like in many other occasions during history, that the Jews are the problem. Well, we are not the problem. In fact, most of our people was exterminated in Europe. The other left to Australia, to America, and of course to Israel. Thanks God, we can defend ourselves, but we do not defend only ourselves. Israel is the front line of the whole Western civilization. We defend our civilization, the Judeo-Christian civilization, our values, democracy, freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, moral, many other. It's true. When we lived without a country, we could be perfect victims. We didn't have to deal with wars, to kill our enemies, and it was from one side pure existence, but it was very, very dangerous, as we saw in the Holocaust. So what we are doing now is correcting this error in history. We are now facing the last step of this war. In fact, yesterday, our soldiers, our brave soldiers, started conquering Gaza, the city of Gaza, where there is the headquarters of Hamas. Our hostages are there, what remain from them, and the whole region is watching and listening. If we surrender at this time, Hamas does not need to win Israel, to defeat Israel, only to be in draw, to remain on his feet, means, according to their terms, Israel has to withdraw from all the territories there, and Hamas remains in control, in power, and the whole stupids of the world would give them billions of dollars to rebuild Gaza. And the lesson from such a disaster will be that for the first time, a terror organization, Islamic terror organization, succeeded to defeat a democratic Western state. This is the meaning. And the consequences and the implications are very dangerous also for Australia, even you are far away in terms of world Islam. So it will not happen. we insist to finish this sacred mission to defeat Hamas, to release our hostages, and to transmit the whole region and the world. The Jewish lives are matter, and we will not remain silent in front of such atrocities. And as I said, we will give this victory also for the sake of the whole Western civilization.
Thank you, Dr. Dror. We'll take a quick 1-minute break before we head to our Q&A, and I'm just going to share my screen because this is something I really want to share with you. We are taking a short break with all the Chagim coming up, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, but we have October 7 Memorial coming up soon. October 7 will be on a Tuesday this year. And we are hosting a very special guest on October 8th. That is a Wednesday, October 8th at 8:30 p.m. We usually run our Zoom at 8, but with the Chagim and how it comes out, we're starting at 8:30 p.m. We have Rita, this beautiful, beautiful survivor from the Nova Festival. So we really hope that everybody, I wasn't able to share my screen, so we'll share it later in the chat and we'll share the details. But please do save the date, Wednesday, October 8th, 8:30 p.m. Australian Daylight Savings Time. We'll be into Daylight Saving Time because this is something special we want to give to our community for October 7. We need to make sure that we are now 2 years since that fateful date, that we are making a memorial and we are coming together as a community to create a special experience for this date. So put it in your diaries, 8:30 p.m. October 8th. Thank you. We'll
So you
head
know
to,
that in Israel we commemorate it in the Hebrew date after Simchat Torah.
I believe in our community, because October 7 will be a Chag, we will have on October 7th itself a 6:29 a.m. Sunrise Memorial. We will also honor it on the Hebrew date as well, given the issues with the Chagim. So we will be in remembrance with Israel. Let's start our Q&A now. We've got about 15 minutes. Alan, please unmute.
Thanks, Daniil, and thanks, Dror. Dror, as you mentioned, the Europeans, with others, are determined to lead a recognition of some sort of Palestinian state. So I wanted to ask you if you think Israel should preemptively annex Judea and Samaria. But as a diplomat, if you don't want to answer that question directly, what do you think would be the Israeli consensus on this?
No, I will answer you directly. Yeah, Israel should annex, should put its sovereignty on our biblical parts of our homeland. Of course, I think this will be the right answer to all these atrocities, because Hamas does not want an independent state. In fact, in any diplomatic events, I used to throw a challenge, intellectual challenge to my colleagues. I say also to you, I prove it, that the Palestinians never ever wanted an independent state side by side with Israel, with the independent Jewish state. Never ever. It's true, they didn't want us to have a state. But if there was no Israel, God forbid, I'm almost sure that there was no also a Palestinian state. The other states would have shared these land with them. Syria, south of Syria, north of Egypt, east of Jordan, etc., etc. So, yes, the thing that Hamas was not interested also with life of his people, of his residents, and so how many victims it will have, it's nothing for Hamas what matters for Hamas is territories, is land, because this is the ancient rule in the Middle East. So we should exit these long war with more lands that we had before. Of course, in the biblical parts of our lands, which are empty, and we are waiting for all the Jews of the world to come back. So we need more spaces for them too. And yes, Israel should declare its sovereignty. I'm not saying annex. I'm saying declare our sovereignty on our land according even to international law, and not be afraid, because as our sages used to say, if not now, when?
Thank you, Dror. Terry, would you like to unmute, please?
The previous question stole my thunder a little because it was the question I was going to ask, but let me add a little to it. Should Israel not declare sovereignty over Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, which has cost us a lot of lives, a lot of money, a lot of heartache, and basically, if we defeat them, maybe we should have that as well.
Thanks.
So you support my view?
He certainly does. Jeff, would you like to unmute, please?
Shalom, Dr. Eydar. You are staying in Italy, if I understand, and it's right there for you to talk about the wonderful Prime Minister of Italy and probably the system of government that might be pro-Israel. So here's the lead for you. Give us the good news.
To speak about the Prime Minister of Italy?
Yes.
Well, Italy, as usual, tries to, we say, dance on two parties. They want to be with their colleagues in the European Union, and they want to be also in good relation with the American administrations, Trump administration. Italy traditionally has not had independent foreign politics. In my time, they followed the French. Now they follow the Germans. I know that the majority of the Italian right support Israel against all this nonsense of a Palestinian state. They understand that they have their problems, but Italy has also a history, also with a bad history with the Jews. And what was fascism in the 20th and 30s became later communism or far left. And these parts in Italian society are very, very hostile to us, to Jews there, to Israelis there. And it's not only the prime minister, it's also a foreign minister, Tajani. They kind of trying to balance between them, unfortunately, because in my opinion, I expected them to stand firmly with Israel, not half step here, half step there. But you know, David Ben Gurion said, it doesn't matter what the other nations would say. It matters what would do the Jews.
And that rings true today. Reuven, please unmute.
Buonasera, Pazan. Come on. Okay, so my question is,
Buonasera.
buonasera. In regard to Qatar and Egypt, now Qatar has been funding Hamas, Amalek, and Egypt as well, allowed the Sinai to be used as a corridor for the Muslim Brotherhood to bring in the weapons for our enemies to destroy us. Wouldn't you think it'd be appropriate not only Gaza but to retake the Sinai? They haven't lived up to the Camp David Accords in Egypt, and as far as Qatar goes, we know they're in on it as well. So step by step, first we've got to get rid of these terrorists, take over control of Gaza. As far as Judea and Samaria goes, I mean, it's logical. We can't have a PA there, and it's got to be under. And the Knesset has already made the vote, and we're in the process of taking that back. What can you comment as far as Sinai and Qatar and Egypt is actually trying to make a coalition like NATO all over against us as well? So I mean,
well, it's a good question. First of all, Qatar, you should know that Qatar is funding the Muslim Brotherhood all over the world, maybe even in your country. I don't know. Just you should check it. And these organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, is in charge, is responsible for this huge wave anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli. And most of all, it risks the European societies. So Qatar, I mean, Israel attacked Qatar a few weeks ago. Although we're not sure, maybe we missed some of these Hamas leaders. But more than the attack, more than the consequence of this, it was the existence of let's say in the opposite. Qatar understood, and maybe the world understood, that there is no immunization. They are not immune. The leaders, the terrorist leaders, are not immune also in Doha. It means that Israel demonstrated to the world what in fact Qatar is. Even though they have lots of money and they can buy, I don't know how many universities and politicians all over the world, from the point of view of the good guys, Qatar belongs to the bad guys. And Qatar funds murders of Jews in the world and destabilize the region with, and in fact, I don't know if you know, at the day of the massacre, October 7th, the leader, the Sultan, I don't know is the title of Qatar, released a declaration that praised, that said nothing against the atrocities, blamed Israel even for these atrocities, and asked and demanded to calm the situation. In the very hours when they raped our daughters, when they burned alive our parents and babies, he said that Israel should calm down, should calm the situation, etc. This is Hamas. This is Qatar. The same thing. About Egypt. Egypt is a very important state in the region, on our southern border. We have a peace treaty with them, although there is no there are no relations, peace relations between our society and their societies. in their TV, even official TV, they call us enemies, and I saw some all the audience. You should enter maybe the best website that translate into English all the news of the Arab countries, which called MEMRI, MEMRI. Enter, and you can see also in Egyptian TV call to fight against Israel, to destroy, and all this. We're used to it. Egypt has 180 million, I think, residents to feed, to give them bread every day. So I hope that they are wise enough not to do mistakes, because it's also America involved in and other. And although we do not, of course, they do not love us like us, I think that they are wise enough only to speak and not to act, because they have their own problem. And in fact, I mean, I'm yearning the day when the Egyptian society will accept also Israel. So this is, we have, our mission is to declare our sovereignty on our biblical parts of our land, and let Sinai aside. We don't have interest there.
Thank you, Dr. Eydar. We'll take one last question from Hugh Kitson, please.
And then let me also to conclude, okay?
Of course.
Hello, Ambassador. I just want to ask you a historic question. I absolutely agree with everything you said, even though I joined a bit late today. But as a former ambassador to Italy, what do you feel is the significance of the Sanremo Resolution of 1920?
It's a very good question. As ambassador, I took the event of 100 years. Because of the corona, it was 101 years to Sanremo convention, and we did it in Sanremo with a symphonic orchestra of Sanremo, with many guests, and the Italian TV broadcasted it to 1 million viewers. And we spoke about the significance of Sanremo. Sanremo was a convention after World War I, when the whole region, all Middle East, fell into the hands of the Allies. The Allies were America, France, of course, England, Italy, and Japan. And Weizmann and Faisal together came to Paris and asked the representatives of the Allies to give them the Middle East. There was an agreement. 99% of the Middle East, the Arabs would take 1%, the biblical parts, the biblical land of Israel would be of the Jews. And they didn't decide in 1919. So 1 year later, on 25th of April 1920, they decided to answer positively to what they requested. And for us, they established a new institution called a mandate. They gave, what concerned us, they gave Great Britain mandate to fulfill
No, I think Dror, oh, he's back. He just froze for a second. Still frozen. We'll give him 10 seconds just to come back.
For us, I can tell you.
Okay, you just froze for a second.
Let me finish this. In the debate between the leaders in Sanremo, the French Prime Minister Mitterrand asked the English Prime Minister Lloyd George, "What means Palestine? What are its that you want to give to the Jews? What are its borders?" So he opened, the English Prime Minister opened an atlas from 1895, from was written by the geographer Smith. Map number 34 was the map of the kingdoms of David and Solomon, and he said this belonged to the Jews. Okay, so this is Sanremo. Let me just conclude with some words, eternal words, to encourage all our nation, all the Jews all over the world. We just read them in last Shabbat in all the synagogues of the world. They were written by our prophet Yeshaya in the 8th century BC in Jerusalem, and they are very, very relevant now when we see the blindness of Western leaders. We, the Jewish people, that we gave the world the Torah, we gave the world 10 commandments, moral, many other aspects, and also the idea of nationality that they drew from the books of Samuel and Kings. Today, it's our turn to teach the world the laws of bi'ur chametz, elimination of chametz, of pure evil. So let me just read some verses to encourage our spirit to understand that the Jewish people is eternal, and we will prevail even this battle. So in the beginning of chapter 60, prophet Yeshaya says these words to us, to the nation of Israel, to Zion. I quote, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." Thank you very much. Shalom. God bless all of you, and have a Shana Tova, Ktiva v'Chatima Tova, and all the blessings that you yearn for your family and your communities will be fulfilled. And I hope to see you guys. If you want to read more, you can write my name, Dror Eydar. All my columns are being translated into English. I have hundreds, more than 1,000 columns. You can read and have more details, of course. So, shalom. Thank you for the opportunity, and God bless you. Bye-bye. Shalom.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dror Eydar. It's been an absolute pleasure. I did find it quite funny when we started, you said with this very short 1 hour, and the time has flown by. We could really listen to you for hours, your expertise. It is so eye-opening.
I can come maybe in another opportunities, maybe in a few months, no problem.
We would absolutely love to see you here in Australia. We would love to visit you both in Italy and in Israel. And I did read that you are a musician. So
yes.
what
So you can find in YouTube also some songs that clips that I did as ambassador because there was a corona. I couldn't do a reception on the Independence Day. So we translated some Israeli songs into Italian. I did the music and I sang it. Two clips. We sang it with the clips of Israel and other things. So you can enjoy it in Italian and in Hebrew also.
Wow,
So
how fantastic. I'm going to look that up now, and I'm going to put that onto our Facebook page under the live if anybody wants to have a look at that
so
later.
maybe you can write to me and I will send you some links to a specific articles that I wrote that maybe elaborate more what we just spoke here.
We would love that. Once again, we wish everybody a beautiful Shana Tova. We are taking a short break, but please make sure that you are here October 8th online, 8:30 p.m. with our beautiful survivor from the Nova Festival, Rita. We had the pleasure of meeting her in person on our AJ mission where we went in August to Israel, and she took us on a tour of the Nova Festival site, and really there was not a dry eye in the house. So please make sure that you save this very special occasion. Have a wonderful fast. Have a wonderful Chag. We'll miss you, but we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody. Shana Tova u'metuka.